It was I was over in Cairo spending time with this researcher who studies the reflexes of, well, these are all different kinds of reflexes, but reflexes that happen during sexual intercourse. Like if the vagina distends, it causes pressure here, which in turn, kind of a Rube Goldberg thing. And he was going to show me some of these reflexes, and then his volunteer just fled, understandably fled. And he said, well, I'll show you some other reflexes. And he recruited this poor man from a nurse from the OR and I didn't know what was going to be coming next. And he showed me actually the anal wink reflex, which is, you know, kind of cute if you divorce it from everything. But he, you know, Dr. Shafiq had one of those metal pointers, and he's going, if you touch here, you know, and so I, of course, wrote this up thinking, yeah, of course, I'm going to write this up because I'm me, and my editor said, oh, I don't think so. First of all, it's not even sex, and second of all, just no. Dr. Dang is a researcher in London he does these wonderful four-dimensional, it's 3D, but it's also a movie, these scans of moving body parts. Like there's one on his website of lips puckering, and that was to help a surgeon who was operating on a cleft palate. And he had another paper on an image of an erecting penis, and this was to help with Peyronie's disease, which is when it goes off to the side, was to help surgeons. And his next project, he mentioned he was going to be doing a scan of two people actually having sex. And so I wrote and said, well, I'd really like to be there for this historic undertaking. Would that be possible? In this case, it wasn't possible because, as he said, Dear Ms. Roach, you are welcome to interview me in London. However, to arrange a new in-action, that was his euphemism, would be very difficult due to the difficulty in recruiting volunteers. If your organization is able to recruit a brave couple for intimate study, I would be happy to arrange and perform one. So my organization gave this some thought. My organization called its husband. I said, you know, you said you haven't been to London in 25 years. How would you like to go? We could go see some plays. We could go see Big Ben. We have to have sex in front of a researcher. We could go to the Stonehenge. It'll be really good. So all I can say is that if you want to have an interesting life, you should develop the habit of saying, sure, I'll do it, without really giving any more than the barest minimum of thought to what it is you've agreed to do. And then by the time you realize how badly you do not want to do it, it's too late. And that's kind of what happened. So there we went, and I won't really give the whole thing away, but I will say that it was less like sex and more like one of those hospital appointments where you are having some procedure and you know it's going to be sort of awkward and uncomfortable, but it'll be over in 15 minutes and then you'll go have a drink. So that was more or less what it was like. Well, obviously the burden here was on my husband Ed, the burden of performance, that is. And for me, I was sort of along for the ride. I was actually taking notes. The hardest thing was just subjecting poor Ed to that. I mean, he's such a supportive man. He also has a healthy sense of denial, and that he was able to just banish it from his thoughts until about 15 minutes beforehand, when Dr. Dang started walking down the hall, and Ed, who'd been in a perfectly fine mood, just suddenly went, here he comes. So, but that was awkward. Yeah, because we were wearing the little dorky hospital Johnny tops. And, yeah, it's not at all romantic. And Ed actually joked, well, where's the soft lighting and romantic music? And Dr. Dang was just so straight. He was like, oh, I'm sorry, wait. I have, on my laptop, I have the soundtrack to Les Mis. It's okay. I found, actually, even with your pants on, doing a sex research book, or just any book related to sex, it's endlessly awkward. Even just something like interlibrary loan. I get a lot of books and journal articles through interlibrary loan, where you fill out this little form requesting a book or a journal article. And I've been doing this since I wrote Stiff, and so there's a list of my, the San Francisco Public Library, and the Mary Roach file has, stuff going back to the stiff era of like gunshot wounds and the principles and practice of embalming and the chemistry of death. And I'm sure that they just thought I was an incredibly sick, strange individual who was tracking down these obscure books on the topic. And then we switched to stiff, where we have some of my favorites. Phantom erection after amputation of penis. Sonographic observation of in utero fetal masturbation. I just imagine the interlibrary loan people going, there's another one from Mary Roach. My favorite, sexual intercourse as a potential treatment for intractable hiccups. I like this paper because they have this note where they say unattached hiccupers are advised that masturbation might be tried. So you don't have to be with anybody to enjoy this treatment. Unattached hiccupers. There's a wonderful demographic. Single, married, divorced, unattached hiccuper.